Hello there, welcome back to Simon's Shed, and thank you first of all for liking my Facebook page and following me on Twitter. I actually recorded that message asking you to do that and then completely forgot, put the video out, and then was really confused why I was suddenly getting lots of new followers on Twitter. But yes, thanks for following me and liking my Facebook page. It's hopefully will help to spread the word about this great hobby. But back to this video, it's all about scenery. So without further ado, let's go and have a look at the layout. First of all then, with the scenery, let's get a quick whiz round the layout and get an idea of the scale of what we're trying to do here. So from pretty much there'll probably be a board across here, but this side of it will all need scenery, and that'll be Kidderminster, the mainline station and the Severn Valley station. And the plan is to sort of jut the scenery out a little bit so it sort of covers up this lower level a little bit, at least enough to get some good camera angles so that it's not visible on the videos. So we carry on up Kidderminster past the turntable. This will all need scenery. There'll be a nice valley there. And round to Arley. Again, all this will need scenics on it. All the way up to where this line is there. That'll be another board there, and then just this little bit is sort of non-scenic. So quite a big task, and I spent a lot of time sort of just standing here thinking, where on earth do I start? I'm sure I'll be okay once I've got going, but at the moment it's a little bit daunting. So, as I say, Kidderminster this end. Now I keep seeing bits in the local paper about excuse me, funding finally been secured for station revamp, blah blah blah, and delayed station revamp finally gets the go ahead. So it could well be that I start building this and then the real thing all gets demolished and rebuilt. I'm sure it won't affect the Severn Valley bit too much, although the sort of approach to it I think will change. So yeah, not really sure what to do about that. I think the safest option is to leave it and start at the other end and work back towards it and see where we are when we get back to this end, because I mean, ultimately it doesn't matter if it just dates it just puts a very strict date on when it can actually be. If I do the new version, or if I do the old version and then it all changes, I'd probably ignore it anyway, because I'm not really a stickler for strict rules on what can run in what period and so on, but definitely been thinking about that. So yeah, let's whiz back around to Arley, and what I've been thinking is this is fairly simple in that we'll have the platforms at Arley, and then we'll have a field behind it which slopes up, and then a field in front which slopes down, and the station buildings and signal box will be along here. So that leads me on to the next bit. What am I going to put the scenery on top of? Because obviously it needs to go from here back to the wall, and then probably a backboard stuck onto the shed itself. First thing I tried, because I've got a lot of it left over, is the insulation foam. but it didn't really work out because it's very messy to work with for a start, and because I need it to be quite thin, I've ended up carving a lot away and it's actually weakened it quite a lot. So the idea is it would have been like that, but it's actually quite flimsy now, so I might use that for certain places, but it's not my most favourite way of working. The other option is a sheet of wood, but I've not got very much left, and it's a lot of sawing, to sort of intricate sawing to get it into the right shape. So that leaves me with a couple more options, which is the traditional chicken wire and plaster bandage, which I may well try. I need to get hold of some chicken wire or wire mesh. So the mesh will go across there, and then plaster bandages on top of it to solidify it. Or there is a Woodland Scenics product called Shaper Sheets, which I also might try, which looks like it could be a convenient way of doing it, in terms of you can just cut it with scissors to the right shape and shape it. It's sort of a paper with a sort of metal surface, like a foil, I guess, on one surface and paper underneath, so it sort of holds its shape, and then you can put plaster bandage on top of that to make it even tougher. So I think I'm going to try that. I think you get for about 20 quid, it's an 18-inch roll, which I think would do the whole length of one side, so not too bad. And if it is really convenient, then I might well go for that. But leaving that aside for 1 second, to actually build up that scenery, I need to build it up to the bridge at Arley. I really need to get the road in first, which is what I decided after a lot of standing here and sort of pondering what to do. So where those lines are is roughly where the bridge needs to go. And the road will go off up there and disappear into the distance, and sort of come down here, sort of over this track and cover it up. So I sort of figured out that that was a good place to start. So now I've decided the bridge at Arley is the first thing we're going to try and make. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the approach. Obviously, I don't want to just make a generic bridge and plonk it down or buy one. I want it to look like the one at Arley, as close as possible. But then on the other hand, I don't want to spend forever sort of carving each individual brick or something like that. You know, it's got to be a balance between those two extremes. So my first thought was try and find a scalescenes.com kit that is similar, and see if I can sort of modify that and kit bash it around and try and get something that looks like the bridge at Arley. And that's one of the reasons I chose this as the first sort of bit of scenery, because the Scale Scenes tunnel portal kit, which is this one here, is quite similar in terms of the colour of the stone and the shape of things. So I started with that, and just to give you an example, so here along the mouth of the tunnel, you stick this, so these bricks here go along the mouth of the tunnel. However, if we look at the bridge at Arley, we'll see that the bricks are red. So I had to dig around and found the small goods store, which I think might even be free from Scale Scenes. and you can see these red bricks here. And what I did was essentially cut the red bricks out of there and made a new version of this with them pasted along here to end up with something a bit closer to the bridge at Arley. So some of the manipulation I've been trying to do on the computer itself before we sort of print out the sheets and stick everything together, and some of it I've done sort of physically with cutting bits down to size and changing bits around. So via a combination of those two sort of techniques, let me show you what I've come up with so far. So this is what we've got so far, and if we're looking at it from the station, we'll be looking at it that way. So I'll just go through it briefly. You can see the red bricks around there where I've modified. So the initial thing I did was just this bit here from the Scale Scenes tunnel portal, and then I made two of those, and you can see I've stuck them together. I'm not sure you'll be able to see, but in there there's a sort of strip of card on the other side holding those together. So that's two tunnel portals, stuck them together, and that gave me this little section here. I then built two walls here and here. You can see it's like 4 bits of card with the brick wrapped around it, and then we've even got some capping stones along there just so that we can see these like on the real thing. And again, like on the real thing and different to the Scale Scenes kit, you have these wing walls on the kit that come out like that, but it just doesn't look like that at Arley. So I built these 4 walls here, and I've angled them as close as I can to how they actually look. So you'll see there's more wall sticking out there, and it sort of slopes back to nothing at the top, and that's the same on all of them. And then I cut out a strip of card for the top, and you can see how I've just put the edging stones along there, so that's stuck all along there. Stuck that on top, just sticking out a tiny bit, and stuck the road surface on. I'm going to leave the road markings for now, just debating how to do those really. I've never found a good way, a sort of neat way of doing them, but I thought about modifying those on the computer and trying to get it to print out the road surface with the lines already there, but it's going to be difficult to carry on where the road curves up and down. To do all that on the computer is not really practical, to be honest, so we'll think about that later. Might end up getting some stencils or artist pastels or something, and trying to find a good way of getting those road markings on. So next, I've made the walls. I've still got a bit to do, and obviously these will be covered in the same brick paper, and they will go on like that with just a tiny bit of a ledge sticking out. And then we've got both of those like that, and then these will be the pavements. So these will be wrapped in sort of tarmac texture, and one there and one there, and that will be about it. So yeah, pleased with how that's turned out so far. It's pretty robust, and it's close enough for me to the real thing. I've even got things like things that weren't in the Scale Scenes kit, like the curvature on the top there, and you'll notice this side is kind of level, whereas this side goes downhill, which is what it does. So if we're on the station, we'll be looking at it like that, and this bit will be going downhill, and this bit starts to go uphill. So yeah, we've made a start. Right, as you can see, I've covered those wall pieces in the brick paper, and stuck a little ledge on top there, and covered the pavements. That's better. Covered the pavements. Again, I used the Scale Scenes road and pavement kit, but I sort of pasted the tarmac bit because it's sort of slabs on the kit. So I pasted the tarmac bit but left the curb edging. So again, sort of editing the kit and bashing it around to get it to look like I want. And oh, another thing I wanted to show you was I coated it all in matte varnish. Just got this from the range, and also got a while ago these artists shading pastels, which are just sort of chalky type sticks, and by shaving bits of that onto the card and then using a little paintbrush to sort of work it in, I've done some weathering. So as you can see there on the monitor, that's what I'm comparing it with. That is the bridge at Arley, and I've got to say I'm really happy with that. That looks that's close enough for me, I think. If I had to pick faults, I guess the colour's not quite right. It looks a little closer actually on the camera. In real life this is a bit sort of bluer, but nitpicking really. And perhaps the parapet wall's a bit too tall, but I think it's mainly due to the fact that on the real thing, this level here is not really the road level. I assume there's a load of rubble and ballast here, so the road is actually sort of a bit higher up, which makes the wall seem a bit shorter. But yeah, I'm kind of nitpicking there because I'm really happy with that, how that's turned out. I've got the little hump in the middle of the bridge. Yeah, like it. So that's the first bit of scenery done. Next thing to do, I think I will get some Woodland Scenics shaper sheet ordered and some plaster cloth, and give that a try. So until next time, have fun, I'll see you soon.